Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, we're talking league-winning wide receivers. Disappointing that there's no Ryan Surr for this video because I know how much he loves the wide receiver position. If you guys watched the mock draft, he went Jay Jettas with the first overall pick.
Bullshit like Gabe Davis is a league-winning receiver now.
Yeah, there's no Gabe Davis talking. Well, there is right now. But again, we got 4 guys for you. All these guys, actually not all these guys. I have a guy going as like the running or the wide receiver 35 that I have as a league winner. Typically, we want to go with some guys earlier in your draft. We don't usually talk a ton of these like top 10 guys at the position until these types of videos. Because again, you know that these guys are good. I mean, we can try to find that big time bust, like a last year, I guess McCaffrey, but that would have been really based on injuries. You guys know how good these guys are, but let's like put our stamp of approval on a few here in this video. So again, some early guys and then a couple that are a little bit later. But Cole, let's get to the first one.
Yeah, so my first guy is Mike Evans, and just looking at this graphic here, the Buccaneers offense, once again, pretty loaded.
Yes.
Recent signing of Julio Jones and Chris Godwin looking like he's going to be back from his injury a lot quicker than expected.
Yep.
I wanted to know from you, what do you think of the Julio signing? Does that change your opinion on Evans at all? Because you have him ranked higher than me even.
Right, yeah. Like the Julio sign doesn't change my mind at all. I don't think it really matters. I think it's a guy that they're welcome to giving an opportunity, but I don't think Julio's playing at quite the high rate that that Antonio Brown was playing at. Like I think we've seen the decline from Julio. He had a pretty big opportunity. AJ Brown was out for a good portion of last season. He didn't really make anything of it. So even in this high-powered, like high-volume offense, I think Mike Evans is still the guy. Even with Godwin is someone I'm still not targeting. Guys coming off these ACL injuries are not something I'm looking to target. I don't want a piece of anyone to start my season that has injury problems or has injury concerns. And Godwin says he's healthy, but there's just no way he's close to 100% right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Julio doesn't change my opinion at all on Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. And he's been one of the most consistent receivers in the NFL since he joined. He's gone, I think, 8 straight seasons over 1,000 yards ever since he joined the NFL. And he's the touchdown monster. Mm-hmm. 27 receiving touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. He averages 9.5 for his entire career. And next season, with Godwin missing some time, Julio out, I think I would put my money on him to lead all receivers in receiving touchdowns next season.
We can't overlook the departure of Gronkowski. We really can't. Like I know we think about the concern of Godwin being back, and I think a fully healthy Chris Godwin is potentially someone I'd rather have than Mike Evans, because with Godwin I don't have to worry as much about touchdown totals because Godwin can give me a little bit better volume and consistency. But Rob Gronkowski was still last season, he might not have been the guy he was 6 years ago, but he was a really, really important target for Tom Brady in the red zone. So Evans, like you said, a touchdown monster, now has the opportunity to even get more touchdown opportunities in the red zone, and that definitely can't be overlooked.
Yeah, he's gonna get touchdowns no matter what. He's probably going to get 15 plus touchdowns no matter what. And the Buccaneers last season led the NFL in passing attempts and passing yards. Yep. So they have their QB back. They have the number 1 receiver back. I don't see that changing.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm completely I'm starting to be a little bit skeptical of how I am in on him, but I think we shouldn't worry. Like I think this is a guy that's going to score, and now less target or less options or less quality options, I would say. I think Evans is really going to stand out. So yeah. I'm in with you. All right, my first guy. Let's get to Cortez Sutton, because I love Cortez Sutton this season. I'm so excited about what this Denver offense can provide people. You're seeing it. It's picking between Jerry Jeudy and Cortez Sutton, to me, feels a lot like the Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp situation last year. Sutton going right next to Jeudy. We just got to find the right guy. He's my wide receiver 12, much higher than him on consensus in terms of him being the wide receiver 20. Cole, you're pretty high on him too, so this is someone we're both probably targeting in our drafts. But here's the deal. Russell Wilson led the NFL in his percentages of attempts over 20 plus yards, 18.8% deep ball attempt rate. Sutton was third in intended air yards last season. He had 27 total deep targets. So you're saying, Tyler, this guy had tons of deep targets, tons of opportunity in terms of these big plays that he could have made, and he never made them. Boy, he didn't have a great fantasy finish. Well, the problem is he had 27 deep targets and only 11 of them were deemed catchable. He caught 8 of those 11. This is a guy that can still convert and make big plays deep downfield, which is something that Russell Wilson absolutely loves to do. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, both of them top 5 in deep targets in the entire league. 2 guys finished top 5 in deep targets for the entire league. That's not just to say he can support one. He can support 2 guys as huge big play threats. And then I go to like Lockett. Let's say, for example, he had 34 deep targets. 24 of them were catchable. That is a significant difference in terms of catchable deep balls compared to what Drew Lock gave Cortland Sutton last season. DK Metcalf, 3rd in end zone targets last year. If I'm comparing profiles, I think Cortland Sutton's profile matches DK Metcalf and Jerry Jeudy's profile matches Tyler Lockett. So we're looking at deep balls and then the opportunity with Nathaniel Hackett taking over as head coach. We saw what Devontae Adams did in terms of just a monster in the red zone in terms of opportunities in those short goal to go situations. They're still throwing the football. I'm talking a monster season from Cortland Sutton here. Like, absolutely monstrous season. The profile, everything is there for me. This is a guy I'm overdrafting. I'm taking him early. I don't give a shit. Like, I want him. I have to have him. So I love Cortland Sutton this year.
Yeah, I mean, a Russell Wilson to Cortland Sutton deep ball, that's a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
it's absolutely perfect.
100%.
Do you see the catch he made in training camp?
Yes.
That was wild.
Look, I want to I'm always gauging of how in I should or how much focus I should give to. I don't give much focus to preseason like plays made. I give a lot to like what practice depth charts look like and who's practicing with the ones. And if I'm hearing good things, that's good to hear, but I don't take it too seriously. But it's always good to see a guy playing well.
Yeah, I mean, I have him as the wide receiver 16. I'm completely in on Sutton, just like you. I don't have him as high because I'm very scared of Jerry Jeudy. Same as the Robert Woods Cooper Kupp thing. Yeah. I think Sutton will be the guy who leads it because he's the better deep target. He has a DK profile. Yeah. But there's the chance Jerry Jeudy just explodes.
Yeah, I think he has the chance to get better consistent volume too. Is like the guy playing more closer to the middle of the field. Yeah. That slot area. Like there's a chance that Jeudy is. I think Jeudy can be. Jeudy is still someone I'm high on too. Like these guys can both be really good for your fantasy teams this year.
Yeah, I think Jeudy might be the safer option of the two, but Sutton's kind of the boomer bust. He could be a top 10 receiver, but he could also. I mean, I don't know how much his bust is. I think he's still a top 30 receiver at worst.
Yeah, I still think his worst is top 24, and he's being as the wide receiver 20.
Way higher ceiling than Jeudy. I think.
Yeah, I'm in on that too.
Yes, okay. So my next guy, Stefon Diggs, kind of a down season last year for him. A lot of people are out on him, but he still had a lot of the advanced stats. Led the NFL in red zone targets last season with 25. He was second in the NFL in air yards behind only Justin Jefferson and second in air yard target share. So I'm still completely in on him, and clearly so are you. We both have him as the wide receiver 3 behind only Kupp and Jefferson, I assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Kupp and Jefferson I'm taking at the start, but right after them, I'm taking Diggs in pretty much every draft. He was the wide receiver 3 in 2020, the wide receiver 1 in non-PPR, but I know you hate that. So
yeah. I'm excited about Diggs. Like I think that like you said, like there's that unrealized air yards combined with I don't think you even mentioned like the red zone targets, which you mentioned too. So I think there's a combo here that this guy. It wasn't a terrible year, but I mean, bounces back in a big way.
Yeah, and he's kind of a similar guy to Mike Evans, not in the same sense, but he will get touchdowns, and he will get a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, tons of opportunity to get
But not as many as Evans, but he has the potential for way more receptions, way more yards. Josh Allen's the MVP favorite. He might be the best QB in the league. I project him to throw for 5,000 plus yards, potentially 50 plus touchdowns next season, and Stefon Diggs is the clear wide receiver 1 in that room. Gabe Davis is good. We've talked about him. He's getting overdrafted. But beyond Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, I don't really trust. Dawson Knox is decent, but he's a red zone target. And Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. I have who's the other guy? James Cook.
James Cook, yeah.
I don't see them taking targets away from Diggs. So
No, I don't
love
think
him.
I don't think they take targets away. The offense is going to throw the ball a lot. I think there's going to be other valuable pieces of this offense. But what if Diggs just hits a few more big plays and he ends up, he's the wide receiver 5 right now. I think a top 3 seasons on deck for him. I really like him too. Yep. Let's get to the last guy. Elijah Moore of the New York Jets. I said wide receiver 35. He's actually going as the wide receiver 38. Moore was the wide receiver 11 in the last 7 weeks of the season last year. Sorry, not the last 7 weeks of the season. He was week 7 to 13. He was the wide receiver 11. That was his last 7 weeks that he played in the season. But regardless, I'm really high on Elijah Moore this season, and there's a lot of reasons to be. He's going as a wide receiver 38, going between guys like Zach Ertz, Hunter Renfrow, Treylon Burks, and Dawson Knox. And we saw incredible production, like I mentioned earlier. The rapport he has with Zach Wilson, I think there's something there. Looking at some of these numbers, that week 7 to 13 number, like I mentioned, he averaged 8.1 targets per game. That is a monstrous number. That's a huge number in that sample size. 23.4% of his targets were for 20-plus yards. So he was getting a lot of valuable targets as well, downfield targets. Zach Wilson took the 3rd longest on average to attempt a pass. So he lets plays develop. That's why Moore found himself, more than 10 yards with an average depth of target beyond 10 yards last season. This is a guy that can make a lot of plays down the field. His route win rate was 47.8%, which is 9th at his position. This is just a guy that's getting open. I know the Jets offense might be a worry for you, but they threw the ball at the 3rd highest rate last season. There's good passing volume. Am I a believer in Zach Wilson? No, but if there's any one good thing I could take away from Zach Wilson last season, if I look at his underlying numbers, it was that he was about an average to a little bit above average quarterback when it came to the deep ball. So I think that's the one good thing that Zach Wilson provides, and Elijah Moore has the best chance to be hitting on those plays. This kid is super talented. He's just getting open. I think people are forgetting about this sample size he gave us, and I think he's in for a really, really big year where he kind of makes a lot of people look silly in terms of having him outside of being a wide receiver 3 this season. He's a wide receiver 4. This guy could blow up.
Yeah, I'm definitely in on him too, not to the same extent. I have him as the wide receiver 35. His ADP is 38. But I'm definitely a little more scared of this Jets offense and somewhat what they've added in the offseason too, because they brought Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall in. I don't know if they're going to take targets away from him, but I think they might.
Yeah, talent. There's a lot of there is talent at these skill positions, and like you said, like Garrett Wilson is a great player. I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's the most polished receiver from this class. I think I said that a few videos ago, and people were on me about like Drake London being that guy. No. Drake London's a big body who can make a lot of contested catches and make contested plays. He's not the route runner that Garrett Wilson is. It's not really close in my opinion.
I saw something with those unofficial depth charts too, that Garrett Wilson's like the Jets' 6th receiver right now.
Again, it's just like it must be a rookie thing, man.
Yeah, no, it's got to be the Jets especially. But I'm definitely in on Elijah Moore, but not to the same extent. But I definitely think he's in for a big season. He had a big last 7 weeks of last season, and he'll continue that into next season.
Yeah, and again, something to be said about, in the case of Elijah Moore, it took like 6 weeks for him to really get involved. I remember, shout out to Avery and Jared. They loved Elijah Moore. Jared especially, like even from preseason. And I was like, I'm not ready yet. Like, this isn't the year. And then he gave us that sample size of like 7 games where he was ridiculously good. That made me feel like I might be wrong about him. But now I think I'm in on Elijah Moore this year, because I think he's going to be able to take that sample size and put it into this season. Meanwhile, Garrett Wilson might take some time to get involved in the offense, much like Moore did. That gives him a head start. So those are our 4 league-winning wide receivers. Let us know what you think, guys. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel as well. We're trying to get to 20,000 before the football season. I will drop some more of our written content if you haven't seen it already. Down below in the description as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.